Maybe ghosts are whispering in your ear.
Ghosts of himself?
Yeah. Himself of the past is trying to communicate with him.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to
tutorial
Otori,
cat.
episode 4, the finale of Nadeko Medusa. So, last episode left off with one hell of a cliffhanger, with Nadeko basically confessing without knowing, her wishing to obtain the thing that as unobtainable as the stars.
That's
to
right,
have
I forgot.
mutual love between her and Aragi bloom and blossom.
I forgot that this poor lady confessed.
Unknowingly confessed to, after finding the Kuchinawa's body kept in a talisman that was in Aragi's room inside of his porn mag.
I thought you were going to be Weg and say after she found Kuchinawa's body lying in a porn mag, but
well, I just added an extra step. Yeah. So there is actually one really big theory, the elephant in the room that I mentioned during last episode's discussion. And since you guys have had a week to potentially think about it, do you guys have any further theories that you'd like to add before we get to the finale?
I'll be honest, my week was too hectic to think about anything but work. Well, no, I didn't think about it.
Sorry,
I'm
rest
sorry.
in peace. Alright. Well, Nadeko, do you know your own secret?
Snakes?
That's pretty much what I thought. Oh my god, actually,
I didn't even think about it. I'm sorry. I was thinking about like a bunch of other things, okay? I wasn't as busy as Serpy, but I did have school. And also, Ray got me into Osu, and you taught me Nadeko and Osu started
Alright,
first,
I understand. Don't worry about it.
know?
Actually, your answer is actually the canonical answer for Nadeko as well, so yeah, anyways, let's get right into the episode. You guys obviously know what to do by now. Open up your own copy of the episode, sync it up with the timer that's going to appear above Kiwi's dong at the end of my countdown, and let's get into the episode. I'm going to start the episode in 3, 2, 1, play.
Oh, tomato pancakes.
That's interesting.
That would be gross. Was it all in her head?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Kuchinawa never existed, I guess.
Perpetrating her own victimhood.
I have a feeling that that particular scene was just inside of her own imagination.
It's Gaian's talisman?
Mm-hmm. She entrusted it to Aragi.
Yeah, I always noticed the scrunchie on her arm, and she was always kind of talking to it. I was like, that's odd, but I didn't like think more of it than that.
Yeah, back in episode 2, she said that Kuchinawa-san turned himself into a scrunchie so that she could take him to school and stuff. However, it turns out that she literally created some sort of like hallucination in order to make herself a victim, to do something, to be forced to do something that she actually was going to do anyways.
On a way, he did possess her in the last episode because it was always just her to begin with.
True. I mean, if you want to do the mental gymnastics, then yeah, you can do it.
I always want to do the mental gymnastics, Sarah.
To be fair, though, a lot of this kind of was like boiling up, and it was going to happen eventually, but I'd say that Ogi definitely pushed a few buttons and made her think a lot and kind of instigated this.
I mean, Ogi was the first one to kind of just point at her and be like, this is your flaw.
Yeah, basically. And, I mean, we can go back to the episode. There's like... Oh, all right. I'll shut up. We'll talk about it in discussion.
Yeah. There's an interesting shot of him tearing the snakes.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, Kiwi's best girl.
Yeah. She's awesome. I don't know why this is funny to me for some.
You know, I know exactly why it's funny to you, Kiwi.
Why is it funny to me then, Zero? Tell me.
I mean, Nadeko finds it quite entertaining. She even made a story about it. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Nadeko was so delusional that she created a literal god.
She victimized herself so much that she created her.
Yeah. It's incredible. I applaud her for this, actually.
She's like Joan of Arc.
Well, I mean, yeah. Bakamitai. Well, I mean, not anybody can revive a god, so.
Especially one that didn't exist to begin with.
That's a special feat. Damn.
Yeah.
This line goes straight back to exactly what Oki said to her. Yeah, I agree, Batman. By the way, did you know that Nadeko is Sun's favorite character? Yes, definitely.
For a second, I believed you, and then I went, wait.
I think that San would unmod me if you heard that Nadeko is my favorite character.
Probably.
But if you told him that you are Nadeko, he would believe you 100%.
What?
Yeah.
Nadeko and I are one. Became one recently.
Well, that's one way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. Ironic.
I don't like this. I don't
Very
like
convenient
this.
lapses in memory. God bidden. Muda Muda.
I was like thinking, how did she know that where the talisman is.
Convenient lapses in memory when she's telling a story. Almost as if time had been stolen away from her.
I think I mentioned even in this scene that we had a clearly unreliable narrator.
Yes, you did, actually. I remember.
A deep conversation.
She despaired the fact that her own life wasn't interesting enough to become a story, that she fabricated one. And even you noticed that scene, Kiwi, when it suddenly flashed to, desaturated, and she was just smiling weirdly. Because her plan was going exactly as she expected it to.
I was just blaming it on Kuchinawa, but I guess Kuchinawa was not a ghost. I noticed it. I'm proud of myself.
I mean, that was Kuchinawa's purpose, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
To be the one person that you blame for everything.
She's still saying those lines.
Yes. Nadeko's form could use a lot of work, to be honest. She's using way too much of her back, but yeah. She's a god, so what do I know?
Yeah, come back and tell me when you've become a god, Zero. Then we can talk.
Alright. Bet. This is a very logical thought, yes. Even Kuchinawa is scared.
He has gone full yandere. Figured she had to make an appearance since she's such a catalyst to all this.
Is my guy still alive? I mean, Sejigahara obviously has to come in and steal the spotlight at the end.
That is her job.
Oh, she's saying all of this so calmly. And it's Good, yeah.
I like how Senjukahara is given this thought.
Hey, it's just helpful tips, pro tips when you want to kill someone. I don't doubt this. Yeah. You should probably write this down. Your memory doesn't seem too good, Nadeko.
I love how Senjukahara is playing to her logic.
I mean, Senjukahara is really good at manipulating people, after all. Holy shit! That looks like the face of a completely sane person, yes.
Oh yeah, completely.
Oh man.
This is not how I thought it was going to end, but it's interesting. Curious to see where it goes.
You okay, Kiwi? You've been quite quiet for this episode.
I'm fine.
When you ask someone if they're okay and they say, I'm fine, I feel kind of some doubts, Are you lying to me, Kiwi?
I'm thinking.
Worst thing is that this arc isn't even the one that's going to make you think about your life the most.
It's
even you can probably tell, this isn't a spoiler, but this is definitely setting up to something even greater than this.
Maybe in 6 months.
How would you guess that? Huh? Did you spoil yourself, Serby?
Always.
Oh.
I think Senjokuhara spoiled me this time, though. That is all.
The end.
As a god, she can now break the fourth wall. What power she's gained.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, she's gone with the full delinquent ponytail.
Let's go, Shinobu!
What a powerful threesome.
That would be the entire cast. Let's go. I mean, she doesn't know about Hachikuji, so she didn't even include her.
Aww. Rip Hachikuji. Oh, all the snakes.
Coming soon. All the puns. Who knew that Nadeko was the one that would make the first pun? Well, no, not the first pun. What am I saying? Senjokuhara is the queen of puns. My bad.
Yeah, Laragi's coming soon.
I don't think he's going to be coming soon anytime soon. Batman did not like that episode preview.
No. He did not.
Whoa.
Otorimonogatari.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right. Now we have finally finished Otorimonogatari. And Kiwi's arc has somewhat ended. We might be picking this back up in a few months. I don't know how many months exactly, but yeah, you never know.
Yeah. I hate it. I can't say I hated it, but yeah.
I love
it disturbed me. I don't feel weird, I feel disturbed. I feel like I'm like a soup that's just cooking peacefully on the stove and someone took the dirtiest of fucking things and really violently stirred me to get all of the ingredients.
This is a good analogy.
To cook well.
It's a very strange analogy, but I think it's understandable somewhat. But before I start blabbing my head off about how I like this arc so much, what do you feel about it, Serby? I think you also said that this wasn't how you were expecting it to go.
I guess what this arc did is it built, and now we're taking an intermission and we're gonna come back to the latter half later.
I mean, I should have been more confident about my theories because I was kind of correct.
The reason I didn't see that coming is because it started with the like pull away, where it's like, here's the future event and now we're gonna build up to it. Usually that leads to a conclusion when you reach that point, but we've not done that.
I understand. This is sort of the same thing that happened with what was it, Hanakawa's arcs.
Yeah, which leaves me kind of similarly conflicted, but I enjoyed this one more because there still was progress, we just haven't finished it.
Yeah. Like, that is one thing to mention though, that oddly enough, even though this arc ended extremely badly. Nadeko kind of just went batshit crazy. And she's also like an all-powerful god now at this point. But surprisingly enough, she has had character growth from all of this.
Yeah, well, that's like we talked about Kurokawa a lot in that arc, and why I didn't like that one, where it's like Hanakawa was stagnant throughout that entire arc, and we just kind of kept seeing all the problems with no solutions.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I think with this arc, while we still haven't, found the solution, if you will, we have been progressing and building, and Nadeko is realizing things about herself and moving forward. We just not sure that she's moving forward in the right direction.
She's moving forward. It feels like she's moving forward, but she's moving forward without accepting the problem. She's just moving forward with it.
She's creating her own solution, just like she created her own kind of victimization.
Yeah.
Which also isn't healthy for her, which is why we've been left off with this psychotic break.
Yeah.
I mean, since we're talking about Hanakawa's arcs, I feel like there is a comparison to be made there, because I think that Hanakawa and Nadeko are somewhat similar with their cases and and how they got involved with aberrations and such.
Yeah, I can agree.
Because for me, I feel like both of them are liars who kind of lie to themselves as much as lie to other people about how they present themselves and stuff like that.
Well, they both kind of, whereas like Nadeko kind of created her own victimization, Hanakawa just was apathetic in her own victimization.
Yes.
So both kind of progressed it of their own accord, but it's different outcomes kind of.
It's also the same situation where they're both like in love with Araragi. However, they both know that Araragi has a girlfriend. And we know that Hanakawa was able to learn from that and obviously solve her own problems. But I feel like we can all see that Nadeko might not end as well as that. She's got a lot of things that she's got to work on.
I mean, this seems like a healthy outlet for her disappointment and rejection.
Yes, very healthy, obviously.
You know what this arc reminds me of? Not in the story, but in the how it's cliffhangered me. It reminds me of watching Bleach, where we'd have little snippets of the story where we're like, yes, this is engaging, I'm interested. And now we're going to cut away for another 3 months before we actually can get back and progress the story further.
Yes, that's what it feels like, yes. But, I'll since this was a Kiwi arc, basically.
Yeah.
I think I liked to dislike this arc.
I love the slow choosing of our words.
I mean, this is unbelievable. I did not think that I would say this at the end of it, but I still really like Nadeko. She's still probably my favorite character. I don't like the way that she is, but I like Nadeko, kind of.
I like Nadeko as a character as well. Of course, I didn't feel this way during her arc in Bake, because that was really lackluster. But once this arc came up, and then Nadeko just became like 100 times much more interesting character to the story, and like she was even like foreshadowed all the way since Bake, I think. Or was that the beginning of Nisei? No, it was the beginning of Nisei, actually, when Araragi went over to Kamburu's house to clean up her room, I think. Yeah. And then, like, Kamburu was like, oh, you don't realize that Nadeko is the final boss. And she just says this in passing. And nobody notices this line. Everybody laughs at it, right? But then when we get to this arc, like, oh.
I mean, yeah. If you look at Nadeko from Baki, you would not think that the little sister yandere character would be the final boss. Now that I say it out loud, it sounds even more bizarre. It sounds like a plotline for a Serbian.
I don't know if that's praise or... you know what?
I don't know either praise. At this point. How am I supposed to take this?
I think that I already predicted this for myself, but I think that I dislike the way that Nadeko is because Nadeko is probably the most relatable to me out of everyone in the cast.
Yeah.
And unlike Nadeko, I have kind of accepted the idea of me always being the victim. I just don't know how to fix it, right? I think
you missed the point then.
Yeah, I would not have a psychotic breakdown. I think.
The point,
Hopefully
Kiwi,
not.
though, was that she wasn't the victim.
Yeah, I know.
So the fact that you have said that you have established the fact that you will always be the victim means you are following right into her footsteps.
I like in a way that I don't know.
It's alright, Kiwi.
I'll just be quiet and run away.
No, Kiwi,
oh my god.
no.
Why? I feel like our anime reactions can just be summed up into like a Nadeko arc entirely. Like if we just take out snippets of our anime reactions, we can just like recreate Nadeko's arc here.
That would be an interesting experiment.
It would. And no, I'm not going to edit that.
Darn.
Nah, it's just that you can see throughout the reaction where I stopped liking the episode.
Oh yeah, right from the very beginning. Yeah, I remember that. Like this has been foreshadowed for so long. Like even if we go back all the way to Bake, when we see Nadeko after her arc and she's talking with Araragi in front of the school, there's a lot of cinematography going on there with Nadeko being always like on the opposite side of the light and shadow from Araragi, in order to showcase that no matter what, they can't see the same thing. They can't see eye to eye. They can't understand each other because they're on completely different sides.
I think I even got stuck on that in Bake, but I didn't know why it was that way.
Yeah, I specifically pointed that out and asked you what you thought about that scene.
Okay,
of
you
course,
pointed it out. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, of course you couldn't figure it out because, well, it happens way later, way after Nisei, right? But that's just something that I wanted to point it out to you so that you could remember it when we got to this arc. There's also that in that same scene where Araragi was just like, he kind of weirdly like, you know, reached out his hand to touch Nadeko, and then like he was about to like part away her hair or something, but she kept avoiding him. That was just to showcase that, yeah, Araragi, even though he wants to understand Nadeko and tries to reach out to her, he just simply can't. And
yeah, she
also kind of has her priorities wrong. Because she pulls away because he's about to touch her hair, which she uses to protect her real self. But she doesn't pull away when Araragi picks up her skirt, which is kind of odd. I just love the foreshadowing that goes into Nadeko's becoming this god, and all the little hints that they drop around this arc, and well, obviously Ogi showing up and messing things up a little. It's amazing how much she wants to victimize herself, and because of what Ogi said, she created this story in order to make herself into the victim of that story, even though she's the perpetrator the entire time.
It's kind of like one of those stories where it's like where you read it from the villain's perspective, and so everything they're doing is in the wrong, but you're seeing it in how they justify it for themselves. Because they're the main character, right? Yeah. Main character is just a perspective thing. And it feels the same way here, where it's like we're seeing her make all the wrong choices, but we're seeing how she justifies them.
Kind of makes me think back to Death Note, where it's still kind of like a gray area, whether what Light did was right to do or not. There's obviously the argument where he kind of like, you know, saved the world from crime, and crime rates are basically minimum because he killed so many criminals. But the fact that he killed so many criminals is also wrong in and of itself. However, Light sees that as justice, whereas L
I think there's
sees
a difference
himself as justice.
With Light, it was the wrong thing for the right reasons, at least to begin with. It eventually evolved into his god complex, and he kind of went psycho. But initially, the idea of killing the bad guys, it was necessarily the right thing to do, but it was for the right reasons. Whereas with Nadeko, there is no real right reason for this other than to satiate herself.
Yes.
So it's effectively the wrong thing for the wrong reasons.
However,
Which
Nadeko
is what
does
Light
one up.
became. So
Yeah.
like, she's like Light in full god complex.
Not just
For
god
the
complex,
right
she literally
reason.
became a god.
she
did more
what
than
Light
Light.
could never.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, for her, the right reason was that, oh, if I can have this one person, then no one can. And so I'll get rid of him.
Well, that's not how it started, though. Because her victimizing herself basically just came from her lack of confidence. And so she is trying to find justification as to why she can't stand up for herself, why she's always hiding. Like,
Okay, you can stop there. I understand. You don't have to say it.
I mean,
see
even
it's
things
hitting
like
too
her
close to
bangs.
home.
She has her bangs so that she can hide from her teacher. So the teacher,
Yeah.
then by proxy, never saw her face. So the fact that he's gaslighting her and taking advantage of her isn't right, but she is allowing that to happen. Like, everything that she's done and created, she was never the victim until she made herself that. Whereas we can flip that, though, with, like, Hanakawa, who actually was a victim. She was mistreated without, any instigation of her own. She just never stood up for herself and got herself out of that situation.
Yeah.
So they're kind of opposites.
I like how Nadeko sees the world differently, and she sees the extra characters differently. Of how she views her classmates as like abstract shapes and colors, because they're just completely foreign and distant to her. Whereas obviously Araki just doesn't care, so he doesn't add them to his story. As for actually this plant, I've seen so many people say that it's strawberry that I don't even know anymore. It's either strawberry or raspberry. I don't know.
It's just too tall for me to be a strawberry.
Yeah, maybe somebody's going to correct us in the comment section of that video, but yeah,
I don't know.
we're pre-recording this. I also like this staircase scene where you're like, oh, you immediately thought of like the medical symbol and then like the two snakes curling. And yeah, this kind of foreshadows the fact that Nadeko's the snake because she's literally the head of the snake right there at the top of the stairs. I just love the small hints and cinematography choices that they make during this arc, and it gets even better for future arcs as well. Because Bake was already really good, but everything after that just kind of ramps it up. Interesting too that during the beginning of the discussion we brought it back to Hanakawa's arc and compared it to that. I feel like this is similar to that, obviously, and maybe there were like different choices made for this particular arc in order to not make it have that same feeling as Hanakawa's Kuro arc. Because the setup is obviously a lot better for the continuation, since Monogatari is a story told by jumping around the timeline and stuff. So there's obviously going to be a lot of stop and start within each arc.
Yeah, well, that's my problem with it, I think, is I like the way that this one is built up way more. But at least with Neko Kuro, we had the immediate jump into Neko Shiro, so I could have that resolution.
Yeah.
Whereas now I have to wait, which is my least favorite.
I'm not going to say how long you're going to have to wait for, obviously. But
Yeah. I feel like, as compared to like some of the other arcs, Nadeko's arc is more straightforward.
how would you describe it as more straightforward than the other arcs?
I feel like the motivations of Nadeko are easier to read, I guess. Whereas like Hanakawa, it was much more tangled and inside, whereas like you have to kind of understand Hanakawa, understand how she thinks, and then understand how she got into the situation she is. Whereas Nadeko, it's all kind of the same thing. I don't know if I'm explaining myself well.
I think people might find Nadeko's situation to be more relatable, perhaps, than Hanakawa's situation.
That's probably true too, yeah.
I think Nadeko is just easier to understand that way because a lot of people have maybe know somebody like that or experienced something like that in their lives.
Well, there's a lot of people who are victims and have been hurt by their families or other people. There's a lot more people who haven't,
Yes.
but have kind of had those minor feelings of like self-victimization. So I feel like in that context, there's a lot more reach in that idea.
Like
But
having lack of self-confidence and wanting to maybe shun away
there's
from
similar ideas to hook onto and self-insert, even if you don't fully relate with Nadeko's character the way Kiwi does.
Well, Kiwi's a special case. Obviously, each Monogatari character is made to be relatable in some facet. Because Nisio wants you to like his characters, obviously. And to learn something from their stories. I do feel like, though, that Nadeko's characters might be the most relatable for the majority of people. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but...
I feel like she's set up that way. Because most people aren't extremely pointed, sarcastic, like... Tsundere is like Senjuko Hara. As much as people would love to be her, there's not a lot of people like her. Yeah. And like I said with Hanakawa, there are plenty of people who are victims of many things, but I think there's not a lot of people who can necessarily put themselves in Hanakawa's shoes the way she has. So I think just as a general like maybe Kanbaru, I could see people relating with more.
Yeah, but I do feel like Kanbaru isn't really part of the story as much.
That's what I was just going to say, is we just haven't seen a whole lot of Kanbaru to really fully like invest into her character the way we have now with Nadeko. Like I wouldn't have said this about Nadeko prior to this arc. But having now had time to invest into Nadeko, definitely. So like I could see like if we had an arc like this for Kanbaru coming up, which I'm hoping we do. I feel like people could potentially, given I don't know how that arc will inevitably go, but I feel like Kanbaru and Nadeko have kind of the most grounded, not personalities, but like traits.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Hachikuji is there for fun, and Shinobu is a One Piece character, apparently.
I'm sorry, I'm not speaking much. I don't know what to say or how to explain anything because I don't understand. I
do wish that you would voice your thoughts, even though like you might not understand them, they may not come out as well, but I still think that it's a really unique case where you're just a one-to-one comparison to an anime character, and I would be really interested to know what's going on in your mind right now. That's just my observation. But if you don't feel comfortable enough to speak, then that's completely fine, Kiwi.
I put them into words so that I don't rant and ramble and make it make sense, right? Because even though I understand how it came to be the way that she is, I don't understand how it came to be the way that she is.
Wait a minute. That doesn't make sense.
Let's reframe the question a little bit then. How did you feel about this arc as a whole?
It made me feel disturbed. It made me feel sad.
And why did you feel that way? Now I feel like I'm a therapist.
You sound like my mom. You sound like a mom talking to a little kid.
I have heard your mother, Kiwi. I sound nothing like her.
True. Our viewers have heard your mother too. They can agree.
Even though I knew that what she was doing was wrong, it felt like she wasn't doing the wrong thing at the same time, which made me feel very disturbed. Like,
you could see and understand her actions, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Like, I already said I would not have gone to the point of where she was.
I hope not. But
the way that I would
compare
it to, the way that I would kind of compare it to is that not killing someone, but cutting someone out of your life simply because they called you out or made you uncomfortable, which I have done multiple times, right? Kind of killing them in your mind, erasing them from your memory. Because if someone asked me, oh, Kiwi, can you name your classmates from high school or middle school? And I would not be able to give anyone a single name from my classmates.
Because they were abstract shapes to you?
Basically. So, I'm getting kind of emotional. But so kind of, I understand the way that she reacted about it. I feel disturbed about it. And I don't like the way that she reacted about the situation that she was faced with. It makes me think back to when I would cut someone off from my life, like they were dead, and how they felt about it. But I was just feeling like, oh, yeah, I feel like they're bad for me, and that's why I have to get them out of my life, away from me, forget about them, move on. and create a new situation where I would be the one that has to be pitied or something, even though I didn't mean to do that. When I tell stories about my past and bullies, I don't mean to portray everyone else around me as the villain. I just talk about it from my perspective the way it was. I don't need to do it. I know that I did something bad. I even say that I did it bad. I just don't mean for myself to be the one that has to be pitied. I've done things in the past that I regretted. Even if I was the one being bullied, I would also be the bully, right? I would not go to the ways where I would make someone go to a hospital because they were ugly, or call someone fat to the point, or poison their food to the point that they can't eat. But I was a bully at one point as well.
This goes for everybody. We're not always the victim. Sometimes we hurt other people without even realizing what we're doing. Because we're kind of hypocritical like that. That's just how life works and how humans work.
I think that's why moments like this are important, so you can kind of take a step back and look at your life objectively and go, well, where did I make decisions that I do regret versus where do I, think that I made the right choices, and how can I move forward in a way that, I'm living my life to the best.
This will turn into a therapy session, but at the same time, I don't understand, if self-confidence is such a big factor in whether you will be the victim or the perpetrator for yourself in the future, right? How do I raise my self-confidence to the point where I don't become a narcissistic asshole?
I think the fact that you're worried about being a narcissist means you probably never will be.
But still, if I act even a little bit selfishly, I feel like such a mean person. And I hate it. So I try to keep myself grounded, but then it ends up being so that people end up walking all over me, which then leads to me having little to no self-confidence about myself or about what's happening. The reason I don't like making decisions for myself and like to ask people before I make a decision, like in a game or something, is because I'm scared of the consequences that will come from me making a really bad decision that will then lead to something worse. And I don't want that. I'm scared.
No, it's okay to be scared.
So I understand Nadeko. She decided that instead of making a decision like moving on from her past love and just forgetting about him, she decided to kill him. That sounds so wrong, but I understand why she came to that, did those mental gymnastics to come to that conclusion. Because if he is gone, she can then move on with an excuse that someone she liked in the past died, get pity from people, move on from that, and live her life the way that she always wanted to. But if Araragi stays alive for longer than 6 months like she did with Senchiguhara, she will have to look and see and face the reality of her being someone who is at the side, someone whose therapy person or person of reliance does not see them in the same way back. And she has to go through that and accept the reality of Araragi not being hers, but instead of being by someone else. That's the way that I understood it. I have never been in love or something of that sort, but
You've perfectly understood it, Kiwi. Almost as if I feel like you watched ahead, but no, that's not true. It's just that you completely understand how Nadeko views the situation. There are words that I want to say to you right now, Kiwi. However, it's spoilers, so I'm so sorry.
Imagine having to confront your friend and be like, sorry, I can't confront you with these words because it's spoilers. Deal with it yourself. No,
this is such a weird situation for me. I know exactly what I need to say to you right now to help you, Kiwi, but I can't because it's spoilers. What kind of screwed up world do we even live in now? Oh my god.
I'm sorry I cried. I'm sorry it's like this. It's just that I feel weird and disturbed and I don't like it. What's wrong?
I commend you for opening yourself up, showing your weakness to us. I really appreciate that, and I respect you a lot for that.
To be honest, if it were the old me, little after we met is when I had my first upgrade in like everything, right? If it was the me that you had just met and started to talking to on Twitter, I would have left in the middle of the reaction, just sending you a text saying sorry I couldn't handle this and run away.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the fact that I was able to speak, even though I cried and I didn't want to cry.
I've definitely seen that you've gotten more confident throughout the time that I've known you. So I think you're getting stronger and getting more comfortable with yourself and dealing with people. It's a slow progress, and you could take it at your own pace.
I am shaking so much, I don't like it. Nadeko, what have you done to me?
Oh no. I'm not.
If you can hear like little taps, I apologize. After I started to cry, my tics kind of started to do their own thing.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Everybody understands. I once again just thank you for letting us know your perspective on this, and the viewers will also thank you for this, I'm sure. Once again, there's a lot that I want to say.
Our YouTube shorts say a different thing. I don't think that people really like me.
No.
You can't use the minority to judge yourself, Kiwi. That's not how this works.
YouTube dislikes aren't even real, Kiwi. They don't exist. You can't see them.
True.
Is that not how cancel culture works? When a minority doesn't like you and then you get canceled, is that not how it works?
Well,
Oh no.
that's how you, depending on how you define it, maybe. I don't know. But let's not talk about that. That's a whole different subject that we don't want to go into.
Hiccups and cucumbers.
Well, that's another subject that we shouldn't go into on YouTube. But, guys, I mean, you guys know what I want to say. You guys have already seen the arcs later on. There's something that I really want to say right here, but I can't because I want to preserve the reaction to that particular arc.
Yeah.
So
Content comes first, Kiwi.
Nobody cares about your feelings. It's all about content.
Yeah, everyone should pity me in the comments and my friends right now. Serbi's the only good one, and then the Zero that only cares about content. My tears is for money. Business and friends don't work together.
So on a scale from 1 to 10, Kiwi, this is fall in your ratings.
Look, I know how to control the situation.
All right. Go on. I'll re-ask Sorby's question then. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate this arc?
Oh, I go first. Okay.
It's your arc. You have the honors.
It would be kind of hypocritical to rate it low, so I'm going to say like 8.5, and that's simply. I mean, I'm rating it like this because it made me feel uncomfortable, not because it's bad. The arc is awesome. Pacing was great and stuff. I liked it. They pointed out everything that was wrong and stuff. It just that. Because I was the one who was being called out constantly, right? It made me feel really uncomfortable, weird, disturbed, right?
Yeah.
Usually that would be a great deal, but as someone who was in the center, I didn't like it, so it's an 8.5.
All right. What about you, Serby?
So I think I'm gonna actually give it an 8. I had a couple qualms just because it throws into a lot of tropes that I don't like. And obviously, like, same with, like, Kurokawa, I can only rate it on what I've seen, so the second half can't be part of it. Yeah. And I was left with no conclusion still. Which always leaves me annoyed. Like, as far as, like, the story and the characters, I enjoyed what it presented. It's still not gonna hold up to like even the past arc or like Kizu or something, which I enjoyed a lot. I like this more than a lot of other arcs, though. So it fits into that kind of middle ground for me as far as Monogatari so far. I can see a lot of potential in the conclusion, and I'm really excited for the conclusion. But,
All right. Well, for me personally, I would have to rate this a 9.5. Because
Zero likes me so much. You can see
I feel like we're gonna be in the minority rating it in the 8s, but
well,
it rubbed me wrong right off the bat when it started with the "here's how we got here" trope, which I just can't stand.
maybe
and then it not only did that, but then it left me cliffhanger, and I have to wait for the next part. God damn it, Atari.
Look, maybe after the later arc, I'll give it a higher rating, but I highly doubt it because it's too relatable to me.
I really didn't think I'd give it the lowest rating, though. That did surprise me. I'm sorry.
It's fine, sir. If you don't like me, I like you, though.
I mean, I can say this after we finish the arc, but oh, Batman's really going after something.
Batman's mad that I gave it an 8 too. I'm sorry, Batman.
This arc and the next arc that follows up after this arc is some of the highest rated arcs in Monogatari, and which is surprising because Nadeko started off as the least favorite character for pretty much everybody who finished Bake. A really good turnaround for her character.
Yeah, the good minority knew from the beginning that Nadeko is the best fucking character.
A minority is one person.
That is a minority. You're correct. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Actually, I was going to have you guys theorize about next part, but I think I'll save that for the intro of when we actually get to it.
Oh, this emotionally destroyed me and you want me to theorize about it?
Yes, exactly. That's why I thought, you know what? It should be better to just leave it for next time.
We'll let Kiwi heal and come back.
Right.
You re-tear those healed wounds.
Okay, guys. If you made it to this part of the video...
You can heal the wounds, but you can't hide the scars.
Thank you so much for watching.
I'm 14 and this is deep.
We'll see you guys next week in the next arc, in the next episode. Later, dudes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I'm sorry I cried. Hope you guys have fun listening to me cry. Bye-bye.